The air in the joint Navy-Marine briefing room was thick with palpable anxiety. Amidst the gathered military personnel, a woman sat impassively, her attention dedicated to the logistics data displayed on a tablet. Her uniform bore no visible insignia, completely stripped of any rank or decoration. Noticing her quiet focus, the Marine commander regarded her with a slight, challenging smirk. "You're awfully quiet, soldier," he probed. "What's your rank?" The men in the room chuckled, their amusement evident. "What are you, a corporal? A sergeant?" She slowly lifted her head, her gaze steady, sharp, yet utterly composed. "4-star general," she stated simply. A sudden, absolute silence descended upon the room. The secure briefing facility at Joint Naval Base Havston was charged with palpable strain as Commander Thaddeus Merik began to outline the specifics of Operation Shadowfall to his 7 highest-ranking officers. Digital representations of the battlefield glowed intensely on the main display screen, exhibiting tactical routes meticulously plotted in fine detail. Merik's voice projected the unshakable self-assurance of a man who had successfully commanded numerous missions throughout his career. "Infiltration begins at 0300 hours, he dictated. "We'll have a 3-minute extraction window before enemy reinforcements manage to seal off the perimeter." His finger moved across the projected approach vector with smooth, practiced authority, while the assembled officers leaned forward, intensely absorbing every aspect of the high-stakes mission. In the far corner of the room, a woman remained absolutely still, her gaze fixed on a tablet that cast a faint, cold light across her face. She wore standard-issue fatigues, utterly devoid of any unit patches or markers of rank. Her dark hair was neatly contained in a regulation bun, and her posture was impeccably military, yet surprisingly relaxed. To the engrossed officers, she was practically invisible, just an anonymous presence in the crowded space. Lieutenant Myers voiced a specific concern regarding potential contingency routes, which Merik summarily dismissed with his customary confidence. "We execute the primary plan flawlessly," Merik insisted, "or we don't execute at all." That was the moment the woman chose to speak. Her voice was low, but carried distinct clarity throughout the quiet room. "The intelligence data shows secondary patrol patterns operating in that quadrant," she noted. "Your 3-minute window is overly optimistic. You are more likely looking at 90 seconds, perhaps even less." The atmosphere in the room seemed to cool instantly. Officers swiveled their heads to locate the source of the unexpected contradiction, their eyes settling on the unmarked woman who had dared to challenge their commander's assessment. Merik's jaw clenched as he scrutinized her. Her serene composure felt like a deliberate affront to the strict hierarchy he maintained. "You're awfully quiet back there," he repeated, a hint of patronizing amusement entering his tone. "What's your clearance level anyway?" She continued to review her data, making succinct notations with efficient movements that suggested extensive operational expertise. Merik stepped away from the tactical display, moving toward her with measured strides intended to assert his dominance. "What are you? Supply chain? Administrative support?" His voice carried the condescending edge of someone accustomed to unquestioning deference. The woman slowly looked up, her cool gray eyes meeting his without either defiance or submission. "I am reviewing operational security data, Commander," she replied. "The patrol patterns are verifiable." Lieutenant Myers shifted nervously, sensing the confrontation was escalating beyond typical briefing protocol. Merik positioned himself directly in front of her. "I'm asking you a direct question, soldier. What is your rank?" The only audible sound in the suddenly frozen room was the low hum of the air conditioning. "That information isn't relevant to the mission parameters," she responded evenly. Several officers exchanged shocked glances. No one had ever dared to deflect a direct question from Commander Merik, whose authority was believed to be absolute, until this very moment. Merik's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Everything in my briefing room is relevant when I say it is." The woman held his gaze for 3 prolonged seconds before calmly returning her attention to her tablet, effectively dismissing him without uttering another word. The subtle transfer of power was palpable. Merik returned to the tactical display, but the essential momentum of the briefing had been irrevocably shattered. As he proceeded to outline extraction procedures, several officers continued to glance back at the enigmatic woman, their initial dismissal giving way to genuine curiosity. Lieutenant Commander Zephyr Donovan studied her longer than his colleagues, his brow furrowed as if attempting to retrieve a half-forgotten face from a classified memory. When the briefing concluded 20 minutes later, the officers filed out in a heavy silence. Donovan deliberately lingered, approaching the woman as she collected her tablet. "Have we met before?" he asked quietly. "You look familiar." She examined his face for a brief moment before replying, "I don't believe so, Lieutenant Commander." "Zephyr Donovan," he offered, extending his hand. She accepted the handshake briefly. "Kate." "Just Kate?" he pressed, a faint smile playing on his lips. "For now," she responded, then moved purposefully toward the exit. Donovan watched her vanish down the corridor, his instincts confirming that this plain woman in unmarked fatigues possessed a significance far greater than anyone else in that room understood. Morning fog enveloped the training grounds as Merik's team executed tactical formations for Operation Shadowfall. Kate watched the proceedings from the periphery of the field, her presence seemingly unnoticed amid the intensity of the drills. Lieutenant Myers was visibly struggling with a new targeting system. His frustration mounted as the equipment repeatedly failed to calibrate properly. Kate approached without a sound, observing his unsuccessful attempts before stepping closer. "The gyroscopic stabilizer has a secondary reset mechanism," she informed him. "Transport vibration throws it off." Myers looked up in surprise. "I've reset the primary system twice already." "Not the primary," she clarified, reaching toward the device. "May I?" He handed it over hesitantly. Her fingers moved with expert precision, accessing a concealed panel that revealed the auxiliary controls. Within 30 seconds, the targeting system calibrated perfectly. "How did you know about that?" Myers asked, clearly impressed. "I've seen these fail in combat conditions," she answered. "The technical manual doesn't cover the transport sensitivity issue." Before Myers could respond, Commander Merik's voice sliced across the training area. "Giving orders to my men now?" He strode toward them, his expression darkening as he recognized Kate. "What exactly is your authority here?" Several nearby officers paused their activity, sensing an impending confrontation. "I'm conducting a readiness assessment," Kate replied calmly. "Under whose authorization?" Merik demanded, closing the distance between them. "JSOC," she stated, referencing Joint Special Operations Command. Merik scoffed, surveying her with unconcealed skepticism. "JSOC doesn't send unranked personnel to assess my team. Show me your credentials." She withdrew an identification card from her pocket without protest. Merik's expression momentarily shifted as he read it. Surprise flickered across his face before he masked it with dismissive laughter. "This clearance level doesn't match standard protocols. Report to my office at 1400 hours for verification." Lieutenant Commander Donovan caught up to Kate at the edge of the training grounds. "You ran Talon Strike in 2019, didn't you?" he asked quietly. She stopped, studying him with new intensity. "That operation remains classified, Lieutenant Commander." Donovan continued, his voice low. "My brother was with 5th Group. He said someone pulled his team out when intelligence went sideways. He never saw their face, but he heard a woman gave the orders that saved their lives." Kate's expression remained neutral, but something shifted imperceptibly in her eyes. "Tell your brother the bourbon he left at the extraction point was appreciated," she finally said. Donovan's eyes widened. "So it was you?" "I never confirmed that, Lieutenant Commander." A ghost of a smile crossed her face. "And neither will you." At precisely 1400 hours, Kate entered Commander Merik's office. A naval officer, Captain Lachlan Wright, sat quietly in the corner, observing their interaction with sharp concentration. "Your presence is disrupting my command," Merik began, pacing behind his desk. "No identification, no rank insignia, vague authorization. My team is preparing for a critical operation, and you are introducing unnecessary variables." Variables exist whether I identify them or not, Commander, Kate countered. Merik's frustration visibly mounted. JSOC follows chain of command protocols. If they had concerns about Operation Shadowfall, they would have communicated through proper channels. Some concerns require direct observation. By whom? Someone who won't even state their rank? Captain Lachlan Wright suddenly interjected. Captain Lachlan Wright, Naval Intelligence. He stood, revealing his insignia. General Stone doesn't need to wear her rank, Commander. Her presence here was authorized at the highest levels. Merik's expression hardened. Even if she's operating under JSOC authority, my command should have been properly notified. You were notified, Wright replied carefully. Just not in the way you expected. Kate's voice carried new weight when she spoke. Commander Merik, Operation Shadowfall has been compromised. That's why I'm here. Someone at this base is selling intelligence. That's impossible, Merik said, though doubt crept into his tone. 3 previous operations failed with similar patterns, Kate continued. Your security protocols have been flagged at the highest levels. By whom? Merik demanded. By me, she said simply. Before Merik could respond to her stark claim, base-wide alarms suddenly blared. The emergency protocol immediately signaled a critical security breach. All personnel were ordered to report to the command center without delay. The center erupted in controlled chaos as officers rushed to their assigned stations. Screens flickered, displaying security lockdown procedures initiating across the base. Commander Merik stood at the central console, barking orders as reports began to flood in. Kate entered quietly, positioning herself at the periphery of the activity. Captain Wright appeared moments later, moving directly to her side. Critical mission data for Operation Shadowfall has been accessed and transmitted outside secure channels, Kate stated clearly. The flurry of activity in the room momentarily slowed as attention was drawn to their conversation. How could you possibly know that? Merik challenged. We just detected the breach ourselves. Because I've been tracking the pattern for weeks, she replied. This is the 4th such breach, each preceding a failed operation. Lieutenant Myers approached with a data tablet. Sir, preliminary trace suggests the transmission originated from within this facility, someone with command-level access. Merik's face darkened. Everyone in this room has been thoroughly vetted. Not everyone, a junior officer suggested, looking pointedly at Kate. She shows up without identification, starts questioning operations, and suddenly we have a security breach. The accusation hung heavily in the air, eliciting nods from several others. Merik studied Kate, conflict evident in his expression. Where were you between 2200 and 400 hours? Sleeping, she replied calmly, like most of your officers. Can anyone verify that? No. The simple admission amplified the suspicion directed at her. Murmurs spread through the room as officers exchanged theories. This is wasting time, Captain Wright interjected. We need to contain the breach before... Before what? Merik interrupted. Before more damage is done. I'd say that starts with securing all unknown elements. He gestured to security personnel. Escort our visitor to detention room 3. Wright stepped forward. Commander, I strongly advise against this. This is still my base, Captain, Merik stated firmly. Until proven otherwise, everyone is suspect, especially those who appear just before the breach. The security officers moved toward Kate uncertainly. She made no move to resist, her expression unchanged despite the dramatic shift. Lieutenant Commander Donovan watched with growing concern. Sir, with respect, detaining a JSOC representative without proper cause could... I determine what constitutes proper cause, Lieutenant Commander. Merik cut him off. As the security officers reached Kate, Captain Wright swiftly moved to the central communications console, accessing an emergency override system rarely utilized outside of actual combat scenarios. This has gone far enough, he announced, entering an authentication code that immediately silenced all base systems. The multiple screens flickered, then displayed a single authentication request prompt. Wright turned toward Kate. I believe it's time, ma'am. The room fell into an utter, heavy silence as every eye focused on her. Kate stepped forward, her entire bearing subtly transforming. A straightening of her already perfect posture, a shift in her gaze that commanded absolute attention without any effort. She approached the central console with calm, undeniable authority. "Clear the room," she ordered, her voice quiet but carrying to every corner. Merik spun around, fury replacing his confusion. "You have no authority to—" "General Catherine Stone, 4-Star Joint Special Operations Command," she stated, her voice cutting decisively through his protest. "Authentication code Sierra Tango 721 Echo Foxtrot." The revelation landed like a thunderclap in the silent control center. Captain Wright immediately snapped to rigid attention. "General Stone, ma'am." Merik stared in shock, his mouth opening, but no words would emerge. Around the room, officers froze in various states of disbelief. "That's not possible," Merik finally managed. "There's no 4-Star named—" Lieutenant Commander Donovan approached with a red folder that had just emerged from the secure printer. "Sir, this just came through on secure channels." His hand trembled slightly as he placed it before Merik. Merik's own hand shook as he opened the folder. His eyes widened, scanning the contents. General Stone's full service record, most of it heavily redacted with thick black lines, but her rank and authentication codes were clearly visible at the top. Attached was a citation signed by 2 Secretaries of Defense and the President. The command center remained suspended in stunned silence. Officers who just moments ago were suspicious now stood rigid, grappling with the fact that they had been in the presence of a 4-Star general without recognizing her. "This is impossible," Merik whispered, his voice stripped of all its earlier authority. "Your name isn't on any active duty roster." "That's by design," General Stone replied, her voice measured but carrying unmistakable command weight. "My operations require anonymity," Captain Wright addressed the stunned room. "General Stone commands a classified division within JSOC. Her presence here was authorized at the highest levels." Merik continued reading, color draining from his face as he reached sections detailing operations where General Stone had extracted compromised units, including 3 Marine divisions he had served with earlier in his career. The most recent 5 years were completely classified, not even titles visible beneath heavy redactions. "I apologize for the deception, Commander," Stone said, though her tone suggested professional courtesy rather than actual regret. "But it was necessary to assess your command without the interference that rank often creates." Before Merik could respond, Lieutenant Myers rushed in, out of breath. "Sir, we've confirmed the data breach. Operational details transmitted to an unknown receiver. The signal originated from Lieutenant Marcus Voss at the communications hub." Stone stepped forward. "This base has been compromised. Operation Shadowfall is hereby suspended by my authority. Captain Wright will coordinate with Naval Intelligence for a full security review." Merik straightened, attempting to regain composure. "With all due respect, General, this is still my command." "Under normal circumstances, yes," Stone replied. "But someone with command-level access is selling intelligence. Until we determine who, standard protocols are suspended." The implication was clear. No one, including Merik himself, was above suspicion. Within hours, surveillance confirmed Lieutenant Voss was initiating unauthorized data transfers. Stone ordered continuous monitoring without immediate apprehension. "We need to see who receives the transmission," she explained when Merik protested. The data trail led to an unexpected destination, an IP address located within the base itself. "He's not working alone," Stone concluded. "Someone here is collecting the intelligence for a physical handoff." The situation rapidly escalated when security teams discovered Voss had vanished after incapacitating guards with military-grade chemical agents. Multiple coordinated breaches erupted across the base, weapons were stolen, and perimeter sensors were disabled, plunging the area into manufactured chaos. "This is extraction under cover of confusion," Stone analyzed. "Voss is expendable. The primary operative is escaping with the real intelligence." Satellite thermal imaging unexpectedly revealed movement toward the administrative wing, rather than the perimeter boundary. Stone instantly realized the true target. He's going after Major Elian Hadley. Racing to the secure communications center, Stone discovered the full truth. Hadley was not a victim, but Voss's handler, currently discussing the extraction of Captain Wright due to his naval intelligence access. It was then that Lieutenant Commander Donovan appeared behind Stone, his weapon aimed squarely at her. "I'm afraid Commander Merik won't be joining us," Donovan said calmly. "He's occupied at the perimeter with our diversion team." The final pieces of the puzzle clicked into place. Donovan had been the primary operative all along. His earlier recognition of her wasn't impressive perception, but informed knowledge. He had known exactly who she was from the very start. "Major Hadley is eager to speak with you," Donovan continued. "She's been anticipating your arrival." Inside the communication center, Hadley confirmed the conspiracy. "Your arrival accelerated our timetable considerably, General. You're here alone, without backup, walking into a situation you don't fully understand." Suddenly, the lights failed. Emergency lighting cast everything in a stark red glow. "Phase 3, Hadley stated with satisfaction. "Base-wide power disruption, perfect for extraction under chaos." But Stone had anticipated this precise moment. In one fluid motion, she dropped and pivoted, her concealed sidearm firing precisely at Donovan's shoulder, a non-lethal but incapacitating shot. Captain Wright appeared in the doorway, very much present and unharmed. "The extraction team was intercepted 20 minutes ago," Wright informed the stunned Hadley. "Your communications have been monitored since General Stone identified the security risk." Stone had orchestrated the entire engineered chaos to flush out the complete network. 5 compromised operations, 3 officers involved, 18 months of potentially leaked intelligence, but now contained. 3 days following the security crisis, Operation Shadowfall proceeded successfully under Merik's newly revised command, with General Stone providing strategic oversight. In a private meeting afterward, Stone revealed Merik's next assignment, a promotion to captain and command of a new JSOC operational training division. "Your initial performance revealed blind spots," she explained. "Your subsequent adaptation, however, revealed capacity for growth. JSOC needs commanders who can recognize and correct their own limitations." She presented him with his captain's bars in the same briefing room where their journey had begun. "Remember this lesson when you command your training division," she instructed. "Some of the best insights will come from those with the least formal authority." As General Stone departed the base, she left behind more than a resolved security crisis. She had profoundly transformed the command's understanding of leadership. True authority required no announcement. Real leadership spoke through action, not symbols.